learning series on the topic of the Future Asset Tracker and Total View. I am your host. You all know who I am. I am the director of our Practice Management Department. I have Andrea Kwiklinski, the Practice Management Department's Administrative Assistant with us.
Hello.
And I also have our director of our outsourcing department today, Shane Harvey. Shane, can you hear us? No, I don't have you on mute, so you might have yourself on mute.
Do you hear me?
Now I do.
You did have me on mute.
Oh, sorry. And then our practices participating today from the Barnes Group, Angela Holmes and Stefan. Stefan, how do you say your last name? I always ask you this.
Vulovic.
Vulovic.
It's Vulovic, but I say Vulovic because it's easier to pronounce for people in Europe.
Got it. For us U.S. citizens?
Yeah, it's U.S. citizens.
Wesley Green is from Janet Benedetti's practice. Diane Chuda from Michael Bowen's practice. Alan Morency from Insight Wealth Management. And John Nixon from Stuart Lane's practice. Excuse me, it's Lane Staley and Associates. Our introduction and get to know you question today, two questions you have to choose from for those of you that have not been in a class before. We'll give you two choices, and I'd like you to choose one, and I'll just go around and ask everyone to pick a question and answer it. So I'm just going to go in the order that I introduced everyone, and I'm going to start with Andrea.
Okay. Honestly, what I wanted to do when I grew up changed so many times that I don't even remember. The longest I've gone without sleep, I would say 2 days in college, finals week.
I'd say I could relate to you on that one, but I don't think I've ever stayed up for two full days. But definitely college is where we miss the most sleep. All right, Shane, how about you?
I wanted to be a cop when I grew up as a kid. In fact, I went to, that's what my degree is in criminal justice. So that's, geez, I carried that all the way through college and even for a few years after I got out of school.
Lucky me, I did know about that already from you. How about Angela?
I guess I'll go with the what did you want to be when you grow up, which was a teacher. And I actually still wanted to do that for a long time. My degree was in Spanish with the idea that I would be a Spanish teacher. And then I switched to elementary. And then the program that I was in, even when I worked at Morgan Stanley, which I still was interested in, got shut down. And so I just never pursued it anymore and ended up at Barnes where I love my job. So
you don't want to change anymore?
No, I don't.
Stefan?
I wanted to be a professional basketball player when I grew up.
How fun.
Yeah.
And you still play today, right?
Yeah, I played in college, and now I just play a rec league here.
Got it. Do you still want to be a professional basketball player?
I think it's too late. I put up 20 pounds.
All right. Wesley?
I know when I was a kid I just wanted to be famous, and that hasn't really changed much since then.
Such an honest answer. I love it. Diane?
I used to change my mind a lot when I was growing up, so I'll say the longest that I've gone without sleep is probably 36 hours when I was much younger. So I wasn't in college, just out over weekends.
Young.
Young. Mm-hmm.
All right, and Ellen?
Let's see. I wanted to be lots of things growing up too, like she mentioned. I wanted to be a hairstylist, a teacher, an auto mechanic. Let's see. So this is where I ended up, and I'm pretty happy, but and the longest I've been without sleep, probably not very long. I like to sleep, even as a kid. So.
Same here, Elle. I need my sleep.
I mean, I used to work 2 and 3 jobs, so there would be long periods of time, but I don't think it was like those guys were saying, 24 or for, 2 and 3 days. So.
Yes, no, thank you. And John, how about you?
I actually always wanted to be a pilot.
That's a fun one. I always wanted to be a doctor. Far, and I have no desire to be that to this day. I started pre-med into college, and it lasted 1 semester. So, all right. Well, let's talk about the topic, and I'm going to start with the future asset tracker. So what is the future asset tracker? It is an inventory of potential business. A couple of options are either assets held with the broker-dealer, like certificates, business opportunities within client accounts, or outside investments. And there is that mini category of et cetera that we see from time to time on the future asset tracker. It helps indicate when assets could be available for other opportunities. We can determine priority of task or what needs to be done based on follow-up dates in the future asset tracker, which we will talk about throughout this class today. We can indicate business opportunity versus the outside assets under the asset type. So those are 2 main categories that we have on the tracking tool to this today. So a couple of examples of business opportunities that I like to share would be money held with us. So us being the Ameriprise broker-dealer. For outside broker-dealers, it would be the same. Anything held, anything currently being held with us today. Extra cash to be invested. So again, with already at Ameriprise. Insurance, newer products, certificates, conversions, etc. Outside assets, we recommend being categorized as money that is currently somewhere else, so not at Ameriprise, property sale, 401k, etc. So I'd like to take a minute to do a poll. And does your practice differentiate between the business opportunities and the outside assets on the future asset tracker? If you could choose one, yes or no. And the results, we have 80%. So let me ask a couple of questions then. Are there any items which you are not sure what it would be considered, a business opportunity or an outside asset? Or if you had that same question in the past that you'd like to share with the rest of us? When each of you were learning, and Stefan, I might call on you, I think you're one of the newest to use the tracking tools. Was there ever any confusion between the business opportunities and the outside assets for
Yeah.
yourself?
I don't know what's the difference. I think one is on BPT and one is on Fat Tracker. Is that what is different? Angela can back me up.
We don't use the business opportunity option very often. We have stuff like extra cash or insurance more on the BPT than we do in the Fat Tracker.
Got it.
I was right.
You were? Good.
That clock is right twice a day.
All right. And then let's differentiate the difference between the Future Asset Tracker and Total View. So the other side of the topic today, what is Total View? Total View is an Ameriprise tool. I'll start with that. It's a tool used typically for financial planning. So we would recommend this most with our financial planning clients, but I won't say that that would be the only reason why we would want to use Total View, because you can use it with non-planning clients as well. Client account aggregation. It shows all of the client's accounts which they give us access to, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit here, in one spot. May include bank accounts, mortgages, credit cards, etc., and it does update nightly. We're going to ask a couple of polls here. So first one is your practice using Total View? All right, 67% is yes. So for those that have answered yes, has it been a positive experience for you thus far?
Yeah, we've been using Total View more, and it's been really helpful. So for the clients that we have been able to sign up with it, it's been really great.
Thank you, Wesley. And for those of you that are not using Total View, is it something that your advisor is considering?
We've used it some. We've got a couple of clients that have started enrolling some things, but it's not something that's really been actively talked about during meetings. So I mean, the vast majority of our clients just don't really know about it.
Because it's not in meetings.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that the advisor's been addressing.
Okay.
So it's been very sporadic, at least.
Got it. Well, we have a couple of pointers today to share with you that might help with getting it implemented. And then one of the main reasons I have Shane on the line with us today is because I would like him to share. And Shane, would you mind explaining to us how you've been able to incorporate this tool into the deliverable completion process?
So as we are doing data entry for getting the plans prepared to solve with the advisor or to get prepared for doing the deliverables, what we're finding is Total View gives us a lot more up-to-date information than even the clients provide sometimes. Or a lot of times the client doesn't really know the value of their 401k or know hasn't received a statement in 6 months or 9 months for an outside account. So it's given us the opportunity to get more up-to-date information without having to hound the client to get us new statements or anything like that.
Which I know from the data collection part of the process, that is the most difficult piece of a deliverable completion. So that would, I would assume.
Yeah, and as part of our process, it's one of the steps that it's one of the biggest things that's keeping us from getting a plan completed is if the client can't get the updated data to the advisor, it holds up the whole process all the way through.
Absolutely. All right. So why are the Future Asset Tracker and Total View important? To us, it keeps an eye out for potential business opportunities. And for the client, it can suggest the best we can suggest the best financial strategy when we have the complete picture of their financial situation. So by using Total View, I'll just expand on what Shane mentioned. If the client allows us the access, and they have to give us permission, then we get the biggest picture than just what they're telling us, on paper, verbally, with a statement, and that really is a benefit to them. So the objective. What is the goal we wish to accomplish with using the Future Asset Tracker and Total View? So I'd like to speak to the goal for the Future Asset Tracker. When the Future Asset Tracking tool was designed, it was our goal that the advisor would be the most proactive in approaching their clients for their financial plan. The more we know about the clients, the better prepared we can be. And you hear us mention a lot about being proactive in our approach, and this was a tool to be proactive about their financial situation. So we're not just talking about being proactive with getting their meetings scheduled and following up on their business. This really plays a key role in our industry with financial planning. We understand the client's biggest picture. And Shane and I did have a chance to speak about the goal with Total View. And would you mind just sharing with the group from the practice management standpoint how Total View could help?
Well, when you put information into the Future Asset Tracker, the value that's in there is the value at the time that you enter it. And unless you or the advisor takes the time to, in every meeting, to update that value is always static. So if you have a 401k that, at the time of asking 3 years ago was $100,000, and the client's been contributing and growth, and it's maybe $400,000, the Future Asset Tracker still only shows $100,000. With Total View, once they give us access, you don't need to go back and ask that client over and over again what the value is of their 401k, because it's automatically updated. So there's the benefit there to use Total View because it's more up-to-date information. Of course, if the client doesn't give you, if they don't go in and set up the access to it, that's where the Future Asset Tracker can come in and help with the client not needing to do anything on their end to make sure that you have an idea of what the outside assets look like.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Total View does not capture any opportunities that that we have at Ameriprise, so certificates. I mean, it only captures what's on the outside for the client, correct?
Correct. It's only designed for outside assets, because anything internal would be on Client Viewer.
Great. So I'm gonna
say something.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't load their Ameriprise stuff on there, but if they put in Ameriprise username and login, it will pull everything on there if you want one place to look at it all. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, they need to register their Ameriprise accounts just like they do their outside non-Ameriprise accounts for it all to populate into Total View.
Can show AMPF. Big note on my part. And then I'll mention one other thing about the goal of the Future Asset Tracker. If and when all practices are using Total View and we have access to all of the clients' accounts, not only will the Future Asset Tracker help fill the gap of those clients that we don't have access to their accounts with Total View, but it will also be used as a tracking tool. We haven't talked much about that yet. That because the Future Asset Tracker has a follow-up date column, it allows us that it helps us continue our proactive approach in following up with the client instead of waiting for the client to ask us. hey, I'm going to be retiring. My 401, I would like to talk about rolling over my 401k. We already have a date set to follow up with a client on those specific things. Certificates coming due at Ameriprise is another example. Instead of seeing it last minute or realizing that it came due in between the client's meetings, we have designed the Future Asset Tracker to capture those follow-up dates. So I'd like to introduce our content expert today, and Wesley was the one that just actually added that piece about us being able to see the Ameriprise information on Total View. Wesley Green comes from Janet Benedetti's practice, and the structure of their practice is 2 advisors and 2 staff, and actually Wesley is working her way to becoming that 2nd advisor. So Wesley, we wanted to give you some props here and share with everyone that is really where you'll be.
Thank you. Yeah, actually Wednesday was first day as AFA, so.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Wesley. Good job.
Thank you, thank you.
See, you're working your way to becoming famous.
Exactly.
More famous. The more clients you can get, the more famous you'll be.
Yep.
So Wesley's Process for the Future Asset Tracker, they do not use the asset types. She puts the asset information in the details column instead, and I'll show you some examples of what she does there. She includes the opportunity as part of case prep. How the follow-up date is determined, it depends on the asset. So it's linked to either linked to the next meeting date, or when the opportunity will be brought up again with the client. So the 2 examples would be a rollover follow-up would ideally be set to the client's approximate retirement meeting. And the client selling their home, as just one example, would be followed up with the client during their next meeting. There's many other examples that we can use to explain when a follow-up date should be set, but these are just 2 examples that we wanted to share with you from Wesley's Process. So another poll question for you, do you include future assets as part of your meeting prep?
Yeah, if you wanted to call on Monday, you probably can. Okay. All right. You're welcome. Bye. All right, guys.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. A majority, 83% of you, do include the future assets as part of your meeting prep. I won't call on you if you were the no's, but I do want to ask, how does the advisor know about an upcoming business opportunity or future asset? Is the future asset tracker the only place that your practice tracks those opportunities? For those of you that answered yes, could you answer that? Nobody? Does everyone only use the future asset tracker?
I think we use a little bit of the FAT tracker and a little bit of the BPT probably.
Angela, can you remind me again? I know you mentioned it earlier, but what types of things do you put on your BPT again?
If someone if someone deposits a check and then we need to invest it, but they're waiting for the market or they haven't decided where they want to invest it, or if there's a certificate coming due, those kind of things that are more in process already, I guess, we put on the BPT versus the FAT tracker we really more just use for outside assets or insurance opportunities. Those we have on the FAT tracker.
Okay. Diane, I know your process from a long time ago, but I'm wondering if it's the same. Do you go through the future asset tracker as part of your case prep request forms still? Do you know?
Not ahead of time. And I already wrote that down before you even and ask the question that I'm going to find out if that should be part of the case prep. Because we always go through it, but basically it's after the fact when the advisor says, yes, he talked about it, or, you know, no, he didn't, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I've already written it down to ask
Good,
about that.
good question to ask. In the past, I do remember in the past, probably 3 or 4 years ago, Mike was doing this as part of the case prep request, so I was just curious if he still was doing that. And does anyone else have any other way that you determine follow-up dates different than Wesley that you'd like to share with us? All right. So I mentioned that I'd show you a couple of examples of the details that Wesley puts on her tracking tool. You'll notice inheritance from dad, money at the bank, a little remainder of the 401k, inheritance a couple times, and let's see, 77 or 67,000 TSP, now rollable, but now 12 months later. What other types of information do others add to the details column if it's not information like this? All right, and I have another curiosity question then. Based on follow-up dates, so I'm going to take one step backwards. Do any other practices use retirement dates as part of follow-up dates? It's okay if you do. I am just curious if yes, Diane?
Can you hear me? I don't, okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes.
You do, Al?
Yeah. Now, does anybody else use this tracker for excess cash flow? So for people who are actually in the saving stage of their retirement, and well, for saving for the retirement instead of like a lot of our clients pulling money from it. So as people are being money into their accounts, do you track it on here and let it get to be so much? So for a reminder date in 6 months when it has accumulated, say, $15,000 or $20,000, and then to be have it invested, or is that something to put on the business tracker now?
That's a great question. I have not.
Otherwise, how does anybody track their BA money coming in instead of all the outflow of money?
We typically use it for like outside, the client has not committed that this money's coming here. So for anything that, like if it's, we have a meeting and they're saying, you know, I'm saving like $1,000 a month. So, you know, in a year it's going to be like 12,000, and then we're going to move it here. That would be more of a BPT item. So if the client said yes to doing something, that normally goes on BPT because it's a follow-up just to say, hey, we talked about this, we need to do it. But if it's something that we still need, yeah, or like they already committed to moving it over. But if it's still something that like needs to be sold to the client, it goes on FAT.
Okay. That makes sense to me. I just wanted, so I was just wondering, I've been out of the loop a little bit, so just trying to.
Yeah.
John, do you know how the excess cash is tracked for your practice?
We definitely don't do it on future assets. I would say if it is, we pull the cash flow report at the beginning of the month, and then if it's, like she said, a BPT task, if it's something that we've discussed with someone and we need to follow up, like at a certain date. I would say probably the cash flow report's probably the #1 way. Unfortunately, I know it's not the best way.
So when you say cash flow, is that the net cash flow, John, that's available?
And I say cash flow, but I mean the excess cash report, I guess, we pull once a month that shows all the cash that's in accounts.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
put through a query in Thompson 1, or do you look at the net cash flow report that's in the business and scorecard results?
Where does Melody pull that from?
I think it's Thompson, John, for you. I know what you're referring to, and I'm pretty sure for that practice it's Thompson. They pull a query.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Hey, John, it's still a proactive approach. So I know you mentioned it's maybe not the best, but it's still proactive. You're catching it monthly instead of waiting until the clients are coming in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's just a much more efficient way of doing so. I really like the thought of doing it on the future asset. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, especially for people that are systematically putting in every month.
Correct. Yeah, and that's
pretty simple.
An option to
well,
add.
plus too with the new trading things that they've got out there, you know, the CSU and stuff. It's, you know, it's going to be really, it could be potentially a huge thing if that money sits there for too long, and for some reason the DCA goes, you know, sour, or it doesn't get invested in a timely fashion. I don't know if anybody read that alert that was out there for everybody to see what CSU is now doing about trading and client meetings and stuff, but they're kind of watching a little more.
Ellen, did you have a chance to complete the survey that we sent out last Friday?
I have not.
On Connect?
Forgive me, I have not.
That's okay. We're going to leave it open for another week anyways.
Okay.
I just want to let you know if you'd like to add the piece about adding BAs to the future asset tracker, that'd be a great place to do it. I did make a note too, though.
Oh, okay.
And for those of you that haven't completed the survey yet, I'll throw that in there. I'm going to be sending out a reminder email on Monday that we're going to probably close it down next Friday. All right, so back to Wesley's process on total view now. And for those practices not using total view, you may want to pay attention a little bit more to this piece. Wesley is putting total view on the meeting agendas for the next 6 to 12 months. This is considered their implementation period. During the client's meeting, during the meeting confirmation process, because their appointments are pre-scheduled, which most of you also have pre-scheduled meetings, clients are asked to bring account logins and passwords to their upcoming meeting. So in preparation for getting them onto total view, they're asking that they bring them to the meeting. The advisor asks for that account information during the meetings, can also email total view sign-up link as a side note. And then it records their last date of information was received. And Wesley, where are you recording? I was curious when I went through this, but where are you recording that last date of information received? Just in meeting notes?
We kind of have like a couple things that we're pulling together. We have that Net Worth Plus spreadsheet, which is just like a tracking year over year what their balances are, to give us a one-page sheet of where everything is. And for stuff that, for people that necessarily don't want to sign up on Total View, or for documents that we can't get on Total View, like pay stubs or something like that for planning, we just put like every document that we need from this family and the last date we got it. So that when we move on for the planning, if they want to say, oh yeah, I'll just use my 2012 pay stub, and they know that that's what we're using because they didn't get it to us.
Okay. And how about others using Total View? How are you gathering the data or the login information from the clients? More ad hoc, would you say?
I think they're doing it on the agendas here too, and eventually the admin is going to start implementing some of that up front, up in the lobby while the clients are waiting for the advisors.
During the grading process?
Yep.
Great.
She doesn't know that yet, so Oh.
One thing at a time.
Yep.
All right, and the experts' results, so Wesley's results from these two tools. The Future Asset Tracker is a good reminder that I mentioned the follow-up date column is very important. That's our reminder. Total View has been successful so far. Clients are responding very well. Biggest pros, doesn't have to bother people or follow up. That's what Shane mentioned too. Gets all the information at once. Proactive with the outside accounts. We know, what the value of those accounts are, even if they haven't given us an updated statement in a few years. If a client is using Total View, they must trust their advisor with all their money, so more likely to roll over and contribute more funds. And I loved that, Wesley, with your process, that if they're allowing you to see all of their outside accounts with Total View, they definitely trust you, and they're not hiding outside assets. Cons, link to mortgage information doesn't all go through, only shows payment amount, not interest rate or length of loan, and that's just a bummer. Hopefully they will change that one day. Wesley, are you noticing any clients, are they hesitant to share their access information?
Well, when you say share their access information, you just mean like sign up for Total View, right?
Correct.
Because we don't actually get their passwords and usernames and do it themselves. They have to do that.
They do it. When you ask them to bring it into the practice, are you sitting them in front of the computer at all to have them log in at that time, or have you thought about having your receptionist help them get logged in so they can update it before a meeting?
We normally, how we're doing it is that we're saying, hey, we have this like really cool new technology tool from Ameriprise that can make your planning more accurate every year, and we won't have to bug you as much. So we'll talk about it when you're in here, but bring all your login info. So then Janet and I will go over like, this is what it is. Like, how about we do this? And they say yes or no, and then we start the enrollment then. And if they if they have a couple accounts, we just do it with them. If they need to do more, then they do it at home. And most clients, like once we explain it and we show it everything to them, they're fine. They're like, oh yeah, I don't have to get you a statement every year. Nope.
Great.
So,
great.
Yeah.
That's just a question that I had that I thought maybe some of you would also have if, we're asking the clients to put their login information in if there was any hesitance.
I have a question, sorry.
Go ahead, yep.
So, Wesley, with your experience and the Total View, have you run into any problems where the client's assets are not updating, including the Ameriprise? Because we have run into that with some of our clients. Have you experienced that as well?
We haven't. The only time that normally Total View will have an alert or a message that says this login information is not correct anymore, it needs to be updated. And that has happened in the past, so that doesn't update. And what happens is I just send an email to the client, and I'd say, hey, can you get on Total View and update your password? It looks like you changed it. And they do it, and then it starts updating again.
Okay.
So normally when it's not updating, it's because of something like that.
Okay. Because I know we have run into issues where they haven't changed their password. Even their Ameriprise stuff wasn't updating, and I didn't know if it was just a fluke thing that happens, because it's always like, why does it happen to us kind of thing. So I was just wondering if anybody else experienced it, or if it was just the advisor here in the office that always seems to get those kind of problems.
I have seen some accounts at credit unions say information cannot be updated right now, and then I check on it later, like a week or two later when I'm in there again, and it updated. So it was something more with a credit union stuff than it was, I assumed, than Total View. But yeah, that sounds like it might just be a couple one-offs or something.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to open this up to anyone now to ask any questions or concerns that you may have about Total View or the Future Asset Tracker, and you can ask them to me, to Shane, to Wesley, to the whole class. I just wanted to open it up to find out if there's anything else that you would like to find out about these two tools. No questions, great. And then our resources, we did put the Turnkey Solutions resource for the Future Asset Tracking Ownership Guide on here, so there's a path. There's also an Ameriprise tutorial available for Total View. Has anyone watched that tutorial yet? That may or may not be using Total View?
I watched it, but it was a long time ago when it first came out.
I will say that we actually have the demo, the Ameriprise demo, saved as a favorite on the conference room computer, and that's what we use when we're telling the client about it.
Good
you don't have to go
idea.
through the tutorial. The tutorial, you can just like explore yourself or whatever they say. And so you can just say, okay, this is what you see, then you're going to go here and enroll, and this is how you add accounts. You know, we can't do anything. We just see the information. So, and then they're like, okay, yeah, let's do that right now. So that's been helpful too.
Great way to not have to recreate the wheel. I like that. All right, any other questions? All right, if there aren't any other questions, then I do just want to run a couple of things by you while you're still here.